So I spent probably an inordinate amount of time in somewhat of this position here. Yes, that I put my own video on the iPad to sort of demonstrate this point. But I also really like to do art, and so last night I had this concept of something that was supposed to just basically resemble what I would call the impossible shadow. And I'll get to that in a second, but the idea being, how do you show something that you can't even describe? So, for example, I've been trying to figure out how to visually, but in my own environment, the feeling of somebody watching over you. That so in my experience, I sometimes go out and I think somebody's following me, watching me, whatever. And at the same time, like, I'll hear a sound and I'll be, what? And I'll turn and there's nothing there to see. There's no resolution. And that's often hard to justify, juxtapose. No, not juxtapose. Justify in my own head. It's like, no, something must have been there, right? And a lot of time it's just fear in and of itself. So and in this instance, I call this whatever you want to call it, this drawing, as I call it the impossible shadow, because if this door opens this way, regardless of where the light comes from, this shadow is never going to be that way. The door has to open the other way. And yet, if I'm standing here and I'm looking this way at my iPad or the television that's here, right? Whatever is in my periphery, I could turn and it's not what I thought it was, but it's still there. And I don't really know how to further explain or describe that sensation. So it's like what I'm seeing in my periphery, it does exist. That drawing on the wall does exist. But in my periphery, it feels and looks like a shadow. But if I turn and look at it, it's still there. But it's not a shadow. And as anyone who's watched or listened to any of my videos, you know I don't edit, so I'm making this up kind of on the fly, not making it up, but trying to describe it on the fly. But when you're sort of inherently fearful and afraid, it takes a lot to prove that there's no danger there. And when it comes to PTSD, sometimes it feels like I have to just like pretend there's no danger, because if I acknowledge the danger, then I'm just forever hiding. But also, I'm just you're just always looking over my shoulder. And when this door opens in the garage is my safe space. And so when that door opens, I think something's wrong. And it's usually not. It's usually 99, if not higher, percent of the time, somebody just throwing something in the recycling bin. But every time, the sound of that door opening, sound of that door and it opening, I go from watching whatever's on my iPad or my television to immediately, what's wrong? And that sucks.